Hello everybody, my name is Lubo and the topic of today's video is the wireless thermostat. What it does, what you can use it for, what type of sensors it has, and how to use it. So first of all, let's activate this device. You can do it by pressing with something small on the back. You click once and then the device activates. The device features an e-ink display which shows the most important things. But first of all, what is a wireless thermostat? It is a universal device that allows you to control the temperature in any space and also to monitor what are the conditions inside. It is a pretty universal device because it doesn't have an actuator inside. Instead, through LoRaWAN, you can get the data and put it into another system. Maybe you can use it to control a group of Wikis for the radiators. Maybe you can use it to control a group or just one relay in case you have electric heating or underfloor heating or something else. It's really universal, but the core functionality is that people can set the target temperature from the device. Then this message gets transmitted into a system, and then in this system you decide what you want to control. So what is the device equipped with? First, you see the big e-ink display. This is a 2.9-inch display, fast refresh one, where people can see the most important things. First of all, the target temperature. I can adjust it with clicking the buttons. Second, you have three buttons. One of them is reserved for future use, which is the OK button. But you have two other buttons which are arrow up and arrow down, simply changing the target temperature. On the far right, you have a PIR sensor, meaning you can detect movement with this device. And then in the middle, one of the most important and interesting things about this device is the black square, which is the organic solar panel. That's right, this device doesn't really need batteries to operate. It has a solar panel capable of harvesting indoor light and operating without batteries or any maintenance. On the back of the device, we have a solid stainless steel metal plate. You can see the serial number of the device on the laser code here, but this bracket you can remove, and on the inside there is space for batteries. If you decide to use the PIR sensor, we advise you, depending on what settings you want, to also insert batteries, because depending on the light conditions, if you use the energy-hungry PIR sensor, the solar might not be quite enough. Apart from what I mentioned, the device features the most important thing, which is a temperature and humidity sensor. It is a digital one with very high accuracy and precision. It displays the temperature here and the humidity down, but all of the things you see on the display, you can actually hide them with downlink commands. And then on the far bottom, you can see the light level. So if I have to summarize the sensors of the device, it features a PIR sensor, a temperature and humidity sensor, as well as a lux sensor for the light levels inside the room. On the back of the device, there is a stainless steel mounting plate. You can remove it by unscrewing a little screw located right here. Once you remove it, you get access to the battery compartment. When you open it, you're gonna see two things. First, there is space for 4 batteries, but you can also use just 2 if you place them right here or on the far side. And second, there is a USB-C located right here if you want to charge the device. However, under normal conditions, you wouldn't be supposed to charge the device. It comes pre-charged from the factory, but depending on the warehouse timings, you might need to charge it only in the beginning for it to boot up. When you plug in the USB cable, be sure to follow the starting procedure and click the reset button right here. If you decide to install batteries on this device, the solar panel continues working, meaning that you're gonna get even a longer battery lifetime out of your device. So let's say a few words of what the device is capable of in terms of commands. What can you send to it? First of all, you can send a target temperature. This target temperature can be a whole number, like 23 degrees, or it can be a precise target temperature, like 22.3 degrees. Second, you can adjust the target temperature range that people can set through the device. By clicking the buttons, they can set target temperature. But you can say, for example, want to limit them between 18 and 22 degrees only. There are many things you can do with the downlink commands. For example, you can also control the step of the temperature control when you click the buttons. By default, the precision is with 0.5 degrees, so one click means I increase by 0.5. Other than that, there are commands to show and hide certain things on the display. You can show and hide the temperature, the humidity, the light sensor, but you can also put the device into sensor mode, meaning that we're going to disable the buttons on the front and people are just going to be able to see what is the temperature inside the room right now. There are a few commands that allow you to control also the behavior of the PIR sensor. For example, if you want super quick response or you simply want to measure occupancy of certain rooms. And as any other MClimate device, you can adjust the keep alive type, the uplink type, and much more. What is nice about MClimate devices is that they also come with firmware update over the air, meaning that when we release a new firmware version, you can update your entire fleet with the latest updates that we come up with. Now to some applications. It is a truly versatile device. One of the applications we've seen on the market is controlling a group of Wiki radiator thermostats using one device. For example, in a school, in a classroom, you might have 5 or 6 radiators. In this case, it comes in handy if you have one thermostat on the wall where people can adjust the target temperature, but it can also serve as a reference point of what is the temperature inside the room for all the radiator thermostats. Another application of the wireless thermostat is in combination with our 16 amp relays. And then we see our partners are controlling electric space heaters. So you have the relay connected to the space heater, but then you have the thermostat on the wall where you adjust the target temperature and this transmits to the relay whether it should open or close. Another application with our relays is underfloor heating. You put the relays in the heating manifold so that each relay controls a zone of underfloor heating. Then you put a few wireless thermostats and you essentially connect them, meaning when somebody sets 23 degrees on the wireless thermostat, the relay turns on, controlling this zone of the apartment or the office, and then switches off when the target temperature is reached. And then perhaps my favorite application of all is actually using it as a standalone device and enhancing the features of a full-fledged building management system. As any other MClimate device, this device can be viewed as a Modbus or a BACnet or KNX device. So system integrators that are familiar with those systems, they can consider just that with a special gateway. But we have many partners like that, system integrators, that are using this device just to provide additional set points into their BMS, be it just to measure the temperature or the lux levels, or to actually allow the tenants in the building to control the target temperatures in a specific zone of the building. And don't confuse the wireless thermostat with our Fenco thermostat. The Fenco thermostat has relays inside. So this device is for applications where you must install it in a place where you don't have power supply and you don't need control of other appliances directly. But if you have a Fenco unit in your building, then you best get the Fenco thermostat from us. So let me show you how the device actually arrives to you. The device comes in a box from recycled cardboard. On the front, you're going to see a QR code. This is the serial number of the device. When you open the box, you're going to see the device itself. The device comes in what we call a deep sleep mode, meaning that it's charged, but it's not yet activated, and that's why it tries to conserve energy. Apart from the device, inside the box, you're going to find a pretty comprehensive user manual going over installation, activation, what are the functions available, where to install it and where not. And also, you're going to find a little box with screws and dowels in case you decide to mount the device more permanently in your installation. When you're choosing a location of this device in a room, try to keep it away from direct sunlight, but make it face the windows or a light source nonetheless. Apart from that, of course, try to not install it directly on top of heating surfaces or near big metal cabinets, because this is going to interfere with the LoRaWAN signal. As you might know, at MClimate we're committed to interoperability. This device, as any other MClimate device, comes with an open protocol which is very well documented, and you can integrate it into whatever system you need. But if you want to get started really quickly, feel free to use our MClimate Enterprise, where you can manage those devices, you can set timers, you can really see some functionalities of the device. But if you want to integrate it into another system, feel free to do so with our free documentation. That's it for this video. If you want to learn more about the wireless thermostat, be sure to visit our website or get in touch with us. Thank you.